Of the race was actually repeated, would you believe, throughout the first week in British cinemas. And people were going not to see the main movie, but to see the newsreel. There was a great stir right across the empire, obviously right down as far as Australia, and as you've already heard, attracted entrants from all over the world. But now Dodge Bailey for a touch and go in the DH-88. This was the 5th place aircraft, the Hawk M2F, the Miles M2F Hawk Major. As George said, flown in the race by Squadron Leader M. McGregor and H.C. Walker, 7 days and 14 hours. Fastest single-engined aircraft in the race. James Mollison, Amy Johnson's husband, owned one of these called the Heart's Content, and the first man to fly the South Atlantic in a single-engine aeroplane. Set a great many long-distance records, this little aeroplane. So just behind him in the race proper, 80 years ago this month, the Desoutter Mark II. Danish arrival, arrived on the 31st of October, just within the time limit.
We'll see some pure racing aircraft later. So although some of these aircraft did take part in races, they're not like the pure-built racing aircraft that we're going to see later on in the show. Anyway, Desoutter, I'm going to hand back to my colleague. He wants to say something.
It's interesting what you say about ill luck. Funnily enough, there were a number of DH-88s, one of which was called Black Magic, G-ACSS. It was being flown by Jim Mollis and Amy Johnson. Now, the strange thing is, out of Karachi, Jim Mollison actually got lost, ended up landing at Jabalpur. There was no high-octane fuel available, so they had to fill up with petrol, and that meant the engines actually burned out, and they had to land at Allahabad and withdraw from the race, so that is bad luck.
Yes, that's right, and next to land is the last one to finish within the time limit. Arrived on the 3rd of November. The Dragon Rapide. Amazing. Again, not a racing aeroplane, but it finished.
High-speed racing aeroplanes such as DH-88 could win the race. But second, and this was the fact the gap was closing between normal commercial and military aircraft and these high-speed racing aeroplanes as aviation was developing so fast. But second in the race, as I said, was a DC-2 with passengers and mail on board from KLM. It just shows that despite the advances that de Havilland put into the Comet, generally aviation was advancing at pretty much the same pace. The difference in performance was getting narrower and narrower.
The thing that de Havillands were very well aware was the Americans were way, way in advance of us on commercial aircraft, which was shown by the DC-2. To a lesser extent by the Boeing 737, Roscoe Service had that quite heavily modified. But the KLM DC-2, which was a ground charge before the party, was DC-2, much more advanced aeroplane, for the European world itself. Way outside the time, again not this aeroplane, one is belongs to Holloway, played by John Hunt. He was thought to be flying the Hawk Major, which is not his. I spoke to him this morning. He said that Hawk Major is an absolutely lovely aeroplane.